What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Fish Aquatics. Today we're going to be unboxing and I'll be giving my first impressions of the Fluval FX6 canister filter. Alright guys, so for this unboxing video, basically what we're going to do is we're going to go over the packaging to see what all it says the capacities and ratings are, what it comes with, and what it says it does based on the packaging. And then we're going to open it up and we're going to look at all the components inside, and I'm going to give my initial thoughts on running this filter. So first things first, right here on the front of the package, right, Fluval FX6 high performance canister filter. The packaging in itself is very, very appealing. It's very eye-catching. I really like that. So Fluval does a good job at advertising just with their own packaging here. Rated for 400 gallons, aquariums up to 400 gallons, and 925 gallons per hour flow rate. And in liters, it's 1,500 liters rated for an aquarium, 3,500 liters per hour flow rate. Now, my belief is that the ratings that these companies give these filters is to be taken with a grain of salt, because there's no way for them to know what your stocking levels are or what size aquarium you're actually running this on. So they all have different ways that they rate their filters, so none of their filters are going to be rated similarly. For example, the Fluval AquaClear 110 is rated for aquariums up to 110 gallons and 500 gallon an hour flow rate, which is half of what this is. So that should be half of what this is, but it's not. It's only a quarter. But they're probably basing it off of the capacity of the filter in addition to the flow rate. But all these companies are going to have different ways of rating these filters, so there is no standard. So take these with a grain of salt, because each application is going to be different. That being said, it's got the new FX Easy Water Change system using this valve right here. 6-stage filtration with free media included. It's not exactly free. I had to pay for that too. You know, the whole thing I paid for out of pocket, so not exactly free. So basket and basket technology, I'll show you that in a second. And high capacity with low maintenance. Sure. So turn the box here. Smart pump technology comes with. It's got all the specs for that. The auto start and self priming, so basically fill it up and you don't have to sit there and push a button to prime it. It's going to do it automatically. Quiet operation and energy efficient. I believe this uses 50 watts of electricity, which is fairly low considering the size of the filter. It's less than your standard light bulb in your house, which usually runs about 60 watts unless you're running LEDs. So self-priming, stackable media trays, AquaStop quick fit valves, basically they're quick disconnect. The utility valve hosing for doing water changes, rubberized feet for quiet operation, twin output nozzles, that way instead of having a singular direction of output for your water, it'll split it and you can have the water flowing in 2 different directions. And an adjustable intake that slides up and down so you can change depth easily. Everything it includes is the media trays, all the media, all the hosing, clips, outputs, inputs, and the canister itself. And easy water change system, less time, less effort, less mess. That is the nozzle on the bottom. Essentially, you just hook a hose up to that, run it outside, open that valve, and it will pump the water out for you, which I'm kind of looking forward to, because I can actually run this directly to a drain, and I might actually be able to set this tank up on auto water change, which is going to be nice. So high capacity filtration, you've got 6-stage filtration. So basically what they're counting as 6 stages is the sponge pad here, the sponge pad here, the 2 trays here of ceramic ring media, the charcoal filter pad here, and then these 3 layers of sponge they're counting as 1 stage of filtration. And then maximum water clarity, basically they're talking about you've got mechanical, biological, and chemical filtration, which really all of this is going to be biological filtration. It's also going to be mechanical, and you have very little chemical. So basically your chemical filtration is the little carbon pad that's in the bottom here. That's going to be your chemical, which after you run this thing for about 2 weeks, that chemical pad is no longer effective because it's a carbon pad and it is just going to become another piece of sponge. So essentially that's just mechanical filtration. Biological filtration, they're talking about these egg crate style foam pads here, as well as these ceramic media. And yes, that is biological. Bacteria is going to grow on that. It's got a very high surface area. And the mechanical filtration that they're talking about is the white sponges that you see on the outside of these trays. Now, mechanical filtration, yeah, it's going to be the first thing that the water coming into the tank sees is that sponge, so that's going to be the mechanical, but that sponge also has an extremely high surface area, so it is also going to be a very large portion of your biological filtration. So you're going to have all of that biological, essentially everything in this is biological filtration. The mechanical is just the sponge that's going to be catching all of the debris that comes in, but that acts as biological as well. And then the chemical filtration is very, very small, and after about 2 weeks' time is basically going to be negated and be biological. So that's what it comes with. That's what they claim it's doing. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead now and we're going to open it up, take it out, and I'm going to show it to you. I've only ever seen one of these in person out of box, and I helped a buddy of mine hook it up, and we got it running auto water change, and all in all, I kind of like the filter. Never had a reason to purchase one because I don't believe large canister filters like this are a necessity because I run a lot of sponge filtration. And essentially this is a giant sponge filter with a pump on it, but I'll explain that to you guys later why I believe that. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to open this up. It has a quality seal here on top, so we'll go ahead and split that. English instructions up here on how to hook everything up, how all the baskets go, and how to run your inputs and outputs. They've got it in English, French, German, Spanish, Netherlands, and Portuguese. So plenty of instructions. All right, what do we got here? This is your return line. So first things first, the vinyl tube that this comes with is very, very firm, which is good. It's not going to collapse on you. And you have your dual output, which that seems like it's very stiff, so it's not going to lose the direction you set it to. The user manual and water change steps, how to do your water changes. So we'll set that on the side here. Okay. Take this out. What do we got here? A little white mystery box. Okay, so you have all of your quick disconnects for the top of the canister filter. You've got your arches for on the top of the aquarium. We give you some hose clamps, some little suction feet for inside of here, and your pickup tube. Wow, look at the size of that thing. So I've got big hands. My hands are 10 inches. Right? That's like 7 inches. 6-7 inches. That's pretty big. And then this is adjustable as well. Alright. So on my 300 gallon, which this is going to be going on, that will probably go down about halfway. Maybe a little more. Okay. So there's the intake. All right, we'll get right into it here. Little piece of protective sponge material. Here's the canister filter, and that is everything that's in this box. So if you notice, when we took it out of the box, all of the tubing is wrapped around the canister filter. And let's see here. What's it held on by? Oh, okay. That's interesting. I just had it strapped to itself, so we'll go ahead and we'll lift this off here. There's your tubing. They've got this shrink wrapped around, I'm assuming to protect it from that rubbing. All right, so you have your motor that runs the pump. You got your water change valve, and we have the top of the aquarium, or not the aquarium, the filter. So we'll go ahead and we'll loosen up all of these. Now when these are loose, they should just pop down like so, and that should just lift off. Okay. So when the water comes into the canister filter, you've got your ins and outs labeled, right? When the water comes in, it goes all the way to the bottom of the canister filter via this tube. Before returning this product to the store, please call. Okay. And then let's see what we have in here. Okay, here's all the media baskets. We'll talk about that in a second. And then in here, if we can see that, here is the output tube that pumps from the pump back to the aquarium. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Not a whole lot going on in there. There is an O-ring on the bottom, which seals right into this groove. And then the water passes through down here. So from what I'm seeing is the water pumps down through here into the bottom and then flows back up through all of these sponges. So the water is going to flow up the outside and penetrate in through these sponges. And then it has to be forced back up to the top on the inside through all of these little channels right here. So the water is going to flow in and come up here, and then it has to travel down through all of the inner media baskets to then come out the bottom down here and get pumped back to the aquarium. So that's essentially how this works. So we'll go ahead and let's see, how's this open? Like that. Interesting. Okay, so the first media basket, you have your 2 layers of sponge on the top. So basically, if this sponge misses any of the solids, they will get caught here. On your secondary basket, you have, let's see, ceramic rings. Ceramic rings there as well. And your layer of sponge. What do we have here? They give you a filter sock with a lock on it for if you want to run any more chemical filtration. So if you want to run a bag of carbon or zeolite or ammonia remover or matrix or something like that, you can put it in this bag. It'll pass through here. They leave the whole bin open so that you can put a whole bunch of chemical filtration in here. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill this up with sponge, right? Actually, I might actually move the ceramic rings down to the bottom here and then fill these with sponge as well. And then you have your little tiny charcoal pad. Now when I say little tiny, it's only as wide as my finger. It's a 1/2 inch thick. Right, so not going to be doing a whole lot as far as chemical filtration. If you want to, this is going to do more than what this is going to do. All right, so all in all, it seems like a pretty straightforward setup. How hard are these sponges to get in and out of here? Not too bad. So the first thing I'm noticing is these sponges are the exact same ones that I use in my Fluval 406, except there's a notch cut out of them. So that filter runs 4 of these, so essentially 2 baskets worth, and then it probably has the basket volume of 2 of these. So essentially, from my 406, which is rated at 100 gallons, to this one, we're only really gaining 1 extra basket, 2 extra sponges, and 1 interior basket worth of media. Interesting. Okay. Not too hard to get it in there. Fairly straightforward. And then putting them back together. How hard did it fit together? I guess not very hard. I guess they do kind of click together almost. And then that snaps together. Okay. So these handles go into the bottom, you pull up on them, snap everything in, and then push back down, and that locks the whole thing together. Yeah, so pretty straightforward. And then when you're putting this back in, obviously it's got the pipe there, so you want this channel to go around that pipe. Pretty straightforward. And then this one goes down the other side. Pretty straightforward, simple installation. These all click back into place. And these just get tightened down, no big deal. Pretty straightforward, okay. And then the quick disconnect, that seems pretty straightforward as well. Yep. And it's got the, boy, they're stiff. That is on there tight. That is not going to, that's not going to leak as long as those O-rings are good. There we go. Wow, that is a stiff valve. Well, it's not too bad now. I guess it's just because it's been sitting a while. Okay. So, pretty straightforward. Not a whole lot different from all the other canister filters I've seen and used. So it looks like this hose is used for the water change feature. And they just have you drain it out into a bucket somewhere close by. I'm going to use a bigger hose, not diameter but length, and I'm just going to run this outside or to a drain. That way I'm not using a 4-foot piece of hose into a bucket, because that's not really, it's the same amount of work as using a siphon. So, alrighty. So, my opinions on this filter. Overall, I imagine it's going to work very well. From everybody that I've seen that used one of these, from the one that I hooked my buddies up at his house, they work very well. We hooked his up to a 220 gallon. He's got heavy stocking in there. Works flawlessly, keeps that tank crystal clear. And all in all, excellent quality filter. I'm curious how it's going to do on my 300 with all my goldfish, because that's a very large bio load. But I think it's going to be fine. If I have to, I can add some sponge filters for biological capacity. I can add a Aquaclear 110 on it for a little bit more mechanical. But I believe that this is going to be enough filtration to deal with that. If not, I'll just add a little bit more. It's not a big deal. But one thing I do want to show you guys for comparison, because it's kind of hard to get an idea of the size of something off of a video, is this is a standard 5-gallon bucket. So you can see when people say that this is a 5-gallon bucket, it is quite literally a 5-gallon bucket, right? So this is a standard 5-gallon bucket. This is your FX6 filter. They are the same size. This is actually a little bit bigger in the base, not a whole lot. But, yeah. So, like I said before, with this filter, it's essentially a sponge filter. With all of the media it has in here is essentially just biological media, same as a sponge filter. It's just a really, really big one with a pump attached to it, which really isn't any different than a large sponge filter with a power head attached to it. But overall, I think this is going to perform much better. It's going to work really well in the 300-gallon aquarium, and I'm excited to get it set up. Alright guys, so that's been my unboxing and initial impressions of the Fluval FX6 canister filter. Overall, my impressions are pretty good with this filter. It's got a lot of media inside, a lot of biological media, which is excellent for a filter like this. Flow rates are pretty good, capacity is good, and I believe on my 300-gallon aquarium this filter is going to do an awesome job at filtering it. If I have to increase flow, maybe I'll add some power heads or things like that. And if I need to add filtration, I could always double up this filter with another one, or add an FX4 or some hang-on backs like the Aqua Clears, because I have a couple of those. But overall, my impressions are pretty good. I am going to do an update video once I hook this up and I'm running it on that 300-gallon for a while, to let you guys know my overall impressions of the actual functionality of the filter here, and my impressions on how it performs with the bioload that I'm going to have in it. So if you guys want to see that video, make sure you stay tuned for that, and that'll probably be up in, it's probably going to be a couple months. I don't want to do a review too soon on this. I want to make sure it functions properly before I give you guys my personal opinion on it. But if you guys want to get one of yourselves this awesome filter right here, go ahead and check the link down in the description down below. It's going to be on Amazon. Prime shipping, you can get one of these in 2 days. You don't have to drive out to a store or anything. High quality filter. And if you buy one through that link down in the description, it helps support my channel, because I get a little bit of a commission off of the sale of that. So go ahead and get yourself an FX6 or an FX4 canister filter. I believe these things are going to be awesome for the application that I'm going to be using. But that's it for now. Thank you guys for watching Trap Fish Aquatics, and I will see you guys in the next video.